Do you want to know how narcissists deal with conflict? How do they sleep at night? How do they cope with all of the heinous fires that they leave behind them? By the end of this video, you're going to know, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung, top 1% attorney and the best-selling author of the books Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a step-by-step divorce guide. And if you're new here, you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm here to support you. I've helped thousands, even millions of people go from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos, and I love doing the same thing for you right here too. So now let's talk about narcissists and how do they deal? I mean, they live in this fantasy world. They create destruction all around them. They treat people horribly. You would think they would have some sort of conscience about that. Do they have a conscience? And how do they sleep at night? And by the way, if you want to know more about how narcissists sleep at night, you should definitely check out my video on how do narcissists sleep at night. But this is going to be more like how do they deal? How do they cope with all of the stuff that they're doing to people all around them? So to understand, for those of you who haven't seen all of my other videos, it's really important for you to understand the dynamic of what's going on inside the narcissist's brain. So a narcissist at their core has no inner sense of value. They have no sense of self. So they have to try to figure out how to layer on things to make them feel better. And the way they do that is they suck energy out of people and situations and you know, the things around them so that they can try to have some sense of self. But you know, it really is. I actually heard an analogy once recently where they talked about it being like, if one car battery is dead and the other car battery gets hooked up to it and the battery is actually completely shot, but you just keep putting energy into it, it doesn't actually ever rejuvenate the other battery, but the other battery will continue to suck that energy until the other battery is now dead and bone dry as well. And that's exactly what's happening. That battery, that whatever is going on inside of them can't be fixed. It can't be changed. So inside of them, it's just this emptiness. And so, but they constantly are trying to find sources to fill that void, to fill that emptiness, that black hole that lives inside them. And what that thing is that they're trying to get is called narcissistic supply. So they live for that. That's what they're trying to get. It's their food, their water, their oxygen. It's their lifeblood. It's the blood to the vampire. They're trying to get as much narcissistic supply as they possibly can. So what's one of the ways that they can deal or cope with their path of destruction and the things that they do is devaluing. So they devalue people to make them feel like it's not them, it must be you. You're the one that's stupid. You're the one that's inept. You're the one that doesn't know what you're doing. You're the one that's a terrible driver, an awful mother, a deadbeat dad, horrible in business. You're the one that's histrionic, that's overly dramatic, that's irresponsible, and on and on and on and on. Because then they can make it feel to themselves like they're better, they're superior to you, you're the inferior one, and they get narcissistic supply from that. So devaluing is one of the ways that they cope. The second way that they cope is through sex. And sex for a narcissist is a highly complicated issue. I would definitely recommend my 3-part series that I did on narcissism and sex, and we will make sure to drop links to all 3 of those below. What's going on with a narcissist in the bedroom is the same thing that's going on with a narcissist at all times, and that is that they want to devalue people, they want to feel superior, they look for ways to figure out where you're vulnerable and then use that against you. So a bedroom is a perfect place to do that. They also want to feel like they are very attractive. So they will sometimes, go looking for another source of supply while they're with you. And so they get validation from that. Now, lots of people are thinking that I am attractive. They will also treat you poorly in the bedroom, like your needs aren't met, or it's all about them. They're very selfish lovers in a lot of ways. They also have very odd sexual behaviors sometimes. They put people in situations where they don't feel comfortable. And I'm not talking about people who are consenting to being in situations that are that they want to be in. I mean, obviously, if you have two consenting people or two people who are both enjoying the experience, that's different. I'm talking about where one person is potentially withholding or gaslighting and manipulating and abusing in the same manner in the bedroom that they do in any other time in the relationship. They don't change themselves in the bedroom, and so they get narcissistic supply from that, and they deal with things and they cope with things by using sex as a weapon against people and making them feel devalued in that sense as well. And if you think this is so not cool, give me a so not cool in the comments. The third way that they deal with, cope with, live with themselves is through drinking and drugs. A lot of narcissists tend to use substances to put a salve on themselves. And by the way, I do have a video called The 3 Deadly Sins of Marriage: Abuse, Addiction, Adultery. You should definitely check that out if you want to know more about the 3 A's or the 3 Deadly Sins of Marriage. But, my understanding about, and I am certainly no addiction specialist, is that an addict can display signs of narcissism. They can appear to be a narcissist, but as they go through the healing process and they get sober and they start doing the 12 steps, maybe they get therapy, they can become more of a regular person again, who again now has compassion for others and empathy and can think about others and can become more of a whole person. Whereas narcissists can often sometimes just, not have any other overlaying issues like addiction and just be narcissists and not be able to be rehabilitated. So I will say, there is certainly some crossover, and it's hard to know sometimes if it's the narcissism speaking or it's the alcoholism speaking, but a lot of narcissists do feel very empty inside. They have issues with depression, especially covert narcissists. They really have a lot of issues with depression because they see themselves as victims and the world isn't fair and life, it never goes my way. And those people can often sometimes turn to alcohol or drugs as sort of a salve to try to make themselves feel better. And the last way is the worst way, and you see this so often in malignant narcissists, and that is violence. And malignant narcissists usually have an overlay of some other form of mental disorder. And remember that narcissists do have a mental disorder. There is something wrong inside of their brain, but when you are talking about a malignant narcissist, it's even worse because oftentimes, from my understanding, there is an overlay of a psychosocial issue or some other type of psychological disorder involved as well. These are the people that will really just stop at nothing to destroy people. And there are people who are covert malignant narcissists, and there are different combinations, but what happens with narcissists in general is they all have this narcissistic injury in them, and that causes them to feel slighted easily, and the world is against them, and they have to do whatever they can to make themselves feel better. And so if that narcissistic injury is triggered in any way, then the narcissistic rage will come flying out. And you especially see this in narcissists who are prone to violence, threats of violence, stalking, threats of stalking. I've certainly seen it a lot in my practice. It can be very, very scary. They want to be intimidating. They want you to be afraid of them. And so they use whatever they need to put you in that position. If you are dealing with a narcissist, make sure to grab my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet, especially if you're getting ready to negotiate with one. And you can just get that at winmynegotiation.com, or you can grab it at the link below. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment, let me know which of these things you've seen, what it is that you're dealing with. Just go ahead and put that in the comments below, and make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. Subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. If you want more support, come join me in my free private Facebook group. It's growing and growing every single day. We'd love to have you over there. It's a huge source of support for people, and we'll drop a link to that below as well, but it's also called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Thanks so much for stopping by today. Remember, today's a great day to negotiate your best life. I'll see you in the next video.